Once upon a time, there was a little Doberman puppy named Onyx who lived in Florida with his family. Onyx loved to play and explore, but he always dreamed of going on an adventure. One day he was exploring a beautiful park when he saw a little bunny hopping around. The bunny's name was George, and he was different from any other bunny Onyx had seen before. George had a backpack and a map, and he seemed to be on a mission. He was a small, fluffy white rabbit with a cute, round face and big ears. He had soft, plush fur that was as white as snow, and his sparkling eyes were a bright blue color that shone with intelligence and curiosity. George always wore a pair of smart glasses that gave him a distinguished, intelligent look. Onyx was curious and decided to approach George. The bunny hopped over to Onyx, and with a big smile, he introduced himself. George explained that he was a big traveler, always looking for new places to explore and new friends to make. George was a born traveler, and he loved to explore new places and discover new things. He liked to read and could often be found buried in a book, poring over pages of travel guides and maps. He had a lean, athletic build and was very agile, with strong hind legs that allowed him to jump and hop around with ease. He wore a tiny backpack that was stuffed full of travel essentials, like a map, compass, and some snacks. The backpack was his constant companion, and he never went on an adventure without it. Despite his small size, George was full of energy and enthusiasm, always eager to share his travel tips and stories with anyone who would listen. Onyx was fascinated by George's stories and asked if he could join him on his travels. George happily agreed and told Onyx about a beautiful island of Hawaii that he's heading to. They set off on a journey to Hawaii, with Onyx following closely behind George's hopping footsteps. Being an experienced traveler, George knew that they could catch a ride on a cargo ship that was scheduled to depart from Florida's port to Hawaii in a few days. On the day of departure, George and Onyx sneaked into the cargo hold of the ship, and with the help of some friendly crew members, they managed to stay hidden during the voyage. As they were sailing away to Hawaii, Onyx turned to George and confided in him. "I'm going to miss my family while I'm away," he said softly. "I know they're proud of me for going on this adventure, but I still wish I could be with them sometimes." George listened attentively and put a paw on Onyx's shoulder. "I understand how you feel," he said kindly. "But just remember, your family loves you no matter where you are, and they'll always be there for you when you come back home." Onyx smiled, feeling comforted by George's wise words, and together they continued on their journey. As Onyx and George set sail from Florida, they were both filled with excitement and anticipation for the adventures that awaited them. The boat they were on was small but cozy, with a little cabin for them to sleep in, a small kitchen area, and a deck where they could sit and enjoy the views. At first, the journey was calm and peaceful, with the boat gliding smoothly across the water. But as they ventured further from the shore, the wind started to pick up, and the waves grew bigger. Onyx was nervous at first, but George reassured him that they were in good hands with the captain, and that the boat was designed to handle rough waters. As they sailed further out to sea, they encountered many amazing creatures. They saw pods of dolphins leaping out of the water, giant whales breaching in the distance, and schools of brightly colored fish swimming just below the surface. Onyx was amazed by the diverse range of marine life that surrounded them, and George was happy to share his knowledge of these creatures with Onyx. During their journey, they faced many challenges. The weather was unpredictable, and the boat was tossed around by the waves. They had to be careful to secure everything properly so nothing would be damaged. Onyx felt seasick at times, and George did his best to comfort him, telling him stories of his own adventures to take his mind off his discomfort. As they approached Hawaii, they could see the towering mountains and lush green forests of the island. The captain expertly navigated the boat through the reefs and brought them to a small dock on the shore. Onyx and George were filled with excitement as they stepped off the boat and onto the sandy beach. Onyx had never seen anything like it before. The vibrant colors of the trees and the flowers, the sound of the waves crashing against the shore, and the warm sun on his fur all made him feel alive. As he looked around, the first thing that caught his eye was a group of colorful birds flying overhead. They were so beautiful and graceful in the air, and Onyx couldn't help but watch them in awe. Suddenly, one of the birds swooped down towards him, screeching loudly. Onyx jumped back in surprise, but the bird quickly flew away, leaving Onyx a little shaken but also curious. George, who had been unpacking his backpack, noticed Onyx's reaction and came over to see what had happened. Onyx explained what he had seen, and George chuckled. "Those are angry birds," he said. "They can be a bit unpredictable, but they're also quite fascinating. You'll see more of them around here." Onyx nodded, still a little nervous, but he couldn't wait to explore more of the beautiful island. As Onyx and George continued their journey to Hawaii, they encountered a fast-moving river. Onyx looked at the river with fear, unsure of how to cross it. George could see the doubt in Onyx's eyes and knew he needed to encourage him. "Trust yourself, Onyx," George said. "You can do this. Just take it one step at a time." Onyx nodded nervously and took a deep breath. Together, they carefully stepped into the water, feeling the strong current tug at their feet. Onyx clung to George tightly, feeling scared but determined. They slowly made their way across the river, using rocks and branches to steady themselves. Finally, they reached the other side, exhausted but happy. Onyx beamed with pride and gratitude towards George. "Thank you, George," he said. "I couldn't have done it without you." From that day on, Onyx knew that he was capable of overcoming any obstacle that came his way, with the help of his wise and brave friend George. As Onyx and George continued their adventure on the island, they came across a grove of coconut trees. Onyx had never seen anything like it before, and was immediately intrigued by the sight of the small, round coconuts hanging from the branches. Curious, he approached one of the coconuts and sniffed it. It had a strange scent, unlike anything he had ever smelled before. Onyx's mind raced as he tried to figure out what it could be. Suddenly, he had an idea. Onyx had seen hedgehogs before and thought that the coconut looked just like a spiky hedgehog. He even nudged it with his nose, thinking it might move or curl up into a ball. George couldn't help but laugh at Onyx's mistake. "No, Onyx, that's not a hedgehog," he said, trying to stifle his giggles. "That's a coconut, a tropical fruit that grows on palm trees." Onyx looked at George in confusion.
"A fruit?
"But it doesn't look or smell like any fruit I've ever seen before," he said. George explained to Onyx that coconuts have a tough, fibrous outer layer that protects the sweet, juicy interior. He showed Onyx how to use his teeth and paws to crack open the coconut and reveal the delicious coconut water and flesh inside. Onyx was hesitant at first, still thinking about the coconut as a hedgehog, but he eventually gave it a try. To his surprise, the coconut tasted sweet and refreshing, and he couldn't help but wag his tail with delight. From then on, Onyx learned to appreciate the unique taste and texture of coconuts, and he looked forward to trying more new foods and experiences on his adventure in Hawaii. Onyx and George kept exploring the island together, making new friends along the way. On their journey, Onyx and George met a monkey named Max. Max loved to climb trees and swing from branch to branch. Onyx was fascinated by Max's acrobatic skills and asked if he could teach him how to climb. Max was happy to help and led Onyx to a nearby tree. "The trick is to use your paws like hands," Max explained. Onyx watched carefully as Max demonstrated, then tried it himself. At first, Onyx wasn't sure, but with Max's encouragement, he started to climb higher and higher. As they climbed, Max shared stories about his adventures in the jungle, and Onyx listened with wonder. Together, they explored the treetops, swinging from vines and playing games. Onyx felt grateful to have met such a fun and kind friend. By the time they reached the ground, Onyx was exhausted but elated. "Thank you, Max," he exclaimed. "That was amazing." Max grinned and patted Onyx on the back. "You're a natural, Onyx," he said. "Now let's go find some bananas." After they were finished with a quick snack, Max excitedly leaned in towards Onyx and began telling him a story. "Onyx, my friend, let me tell you about the time I went to Mexico and fell in love." Onyx's ears perked up as he listened intently to Max's story. "Tell me more, Max," he said eagerly. "Well, Onyx, I had always been a fan of Mexican music and always dreamed of going there to experience it for myself," Max began. "So, one day I decided to pack my bags and travel to Mexico to see what it was all about." Max continued to describe the vibrant colors, the lively music, and the delicious food he encountered during his travels. "And then, Onyx, I met her," Max said with a dreamy look in his eyes. "The most beautiful lady monkey I had ever seen. Onyx, she was so fascinated by my guitar playing that she couldn't resist spending time with me," Max said, beaming with pride. "We spent our days dancing and listening to music, and before I knew it, I had fallen deeply in love with her. Carmen was the most beautiful monkey I had ever seen. She was from a royal jungle family and was visiting Mexico to learn more about their culture." Onyx's ears perked up with interest. "Wow, she sounds amazing. What did she think of your guitar playing?" Max beamed with pride. "Oh, she loved it. She was so impressed with my musical skills, and we spent hours playing and singing together under the stars. We had the most amazing time together, Onyx," Max continued. "Carmen showed me the beauty of Mexico and introduced me to her family and friends. They were all so welcoming and kind to me, and I felt like I had found a second home in their country." Onyx listened intently, fascinated by Max's story. "That sounds like a wonderful adventure, Max," he said. "Did you ever see Carmen again?" Max's expression turned bittersweet. "Unfortunately, we had to part ways when it was time for me to go back home," he said. "But I'll never forget the time we spent together. It was truly a life-changing experience." Onyx nodded sympathetically. "I'm sure you'll always cherish those memories, Max," he said. "And who knows, maybe you'll see Carmen again someday." Max smiled wistfully. "I hope so, Onyx." "I really do." As Max finished his story, he let out a contented sigh. "Onyx, my friend, I learned a lot during my time in Mexico," he said, looking at Onyx with a wise expression. "I learned that sometimes the greatest adventures come from following your heart and taking a chance on love. And even though Carmen and I were from different worlds, we were able to find a connection through music and dance." Max put a reassuring paw on Onyx's shoulder. "And you, my friend, are on your own great adventure now. Remember to be open to new experiences and never be afraid to take a chance. Who knows what wonderful things you might discover." Onyx nodded, taking Max's words to heart. "Thank you, Max," he said with gratitude. "I'll always remember your story and the lessons it taught me." As Onyx and George kept on exploring the island, Onyx made friends with a group of sea turtles who showed him how to swim in the ocean. The turtles were swimming in a nearby cove, and Onyx was fascinated by how gracefully they moved through the water. One of the turtles, named Tilly, noticed Onyx watching and swam over to him. "Would you like to learn how to swim?" she asked. Onyx was excited but a little nervous. "I've never swum before," he admitted. Tilly smiled kindly. "Don't worry," she said. "We'll teach you." The sea turtles patiently showed Onyx how to move his paws and legs in the water, and before long, Onyx was paddling around with ease. The more time Onyx spent with turtles, the more he got attached to Tilly. Tilly was a graceful sea turtle with a shell as green as the ocean and wise, sparkling eyes. She had lived in the ocean her entire life and had seen many incredible things. Onyx had quickly grown fond of her gentle spirit and eager to hear more about her adventures. "Onyx, my dear friend, I have a story to share with you," she said. Onyx's ears perked up in excitement. "I would love to hear your story, Tilly," he replied. Tilly began telling him a story about her home, all and far away across the ocean. Australia. Onyx listened intently, fascinated by the idea of a place he had never seen. Tilly described how they have many amazing creatures living in Australia, but the most fascinating of all are the kangaroos. "They're these amazing animals that hop on two legs, Onyx," Tilly explained. "They have long tails and big ears, and they are incredibly fast and strong." Onyx looked puzzled. "Hop on two legs," he said. Tilly chuckled. "Yes, it's quite remarkable," she said. "But that's the magic of traveling and exploring new places, Onyx. You never know what amazing things you might discover." Tilly chuckled as she recalled a funny story from her younger days. "Onyx, let me tell you about the time I tried to race with some kangaroos," she said with a mischievous twinkle in her eye. "One day I saw some kangaroos hopping along the beach and I thought to myself, I bet I can beat them in a race. So I challenged them to a friendly competition," Tilly explained. "But those kangaroos were quick, Onyx. They hopped circles around me. I tried to keep up, but I was no match for them," she laughed. "But you know what they taught me, Onyx? They showed me how to play hide and seek in the sand. We buried ourselves under the warm sand and tried to find each other. It was so much fun," Tilly exclaimed. Onyx's eyes widened with wonder. "Really? That sounds like so much fun," he said. Tilly nodded enthusiastically. "Yes, Onyx, it was. And it just goes to show you that even when you don't win, you can still have a great time and learn something new," she said with a smile. As Tilly finished her story, she turned to Onyx with a wise expression on her face. "You know, Onyx," she said, "sometimes we get so caught up in competition and winning that we forget to enjoy the journey. Life is about more than just being the best or the fastest. It's about making connections, learning new things, and experiencing all the beauty the world has to offer." Onyx listened thoughtfully, taking in Tilly's words. "You're right, Tilly," he said. "I had never thought about it that way before." Tilly smiled. "Remember, Onyx, it's not about winning or losing. It's about the joy of playing the game." Onyx listened to Tilly's story with wonder, imagining the vastness of the ocean and all the incredible creatures that live beyond his home. He knew that he had so much more to learn and discover, and he felt grateful to have such a wise friend like Tilly to guide him. Onyx and George spent the day swimming with the sea turtles, diving down to see colorful fish and coral reefs. Onyx was grateful to his new friends for teaching him a new skill and showing him the beauty of the ocean. As the sun began to set, the sea turtles bid farewell to Onyx and George, promising to meet again someday. Onyx looked out at the ocean, feeling a newfound sense of confidence and wonder. He knew that he would always cherish the memory of his time with the sea turtles, and he felt grateful for the kindness they had shown him. On their journey, Onyx and George encountered not only friendly creatures but also faced some challenges. One day, as they ventured through a dense forest, they heard raucous squawking noises that caught their attention. They followed the sound until they came across a group of angry birds circling protectively around a nest. Intrigued and concerned, Onyx and George approached cautiously, wondering what had stirred such fury among the feathered creatures. As they drew closer, they witnessed a snake slithering out of the nest, and the birds erupted in a frenzy of anger. It was clear that the snake was stealing their precious eggs. Onyx's heart swelled with empathy, and he knew they had to do something to help the distressed birds. Without hesitation, Onyx stepped forward and barked fiercely at the snake, trying to intimidate it into retreating. But the snake, sensing danger, swiftly slithered back into the nest, ignoring Onyx's attempts to scare it away. The birds grew even angrier, their squawks piercing the air. In that moment, George's quick thinking came to the rescue. "Onyx, climb up that tree and grab a sturdy branch," he suggested, his voice brimming with confidence. Onyx glanced skeptically at the tall tree, but with George's encouraging words ringing in his ears, he summoned his courage and began his ascent. Branch by branch, he conquered his doubts until he reached the top, where he selected a thick, reliable branch. With the branch firmly clutched in his determined jaws, Onyx prepared to launch himself towards the nest. He took a leap of faith, propelling himself with all his might, and skillfully swiped at the snake, sending it tumbling to the forest floor. The birds seized the opportunity, swooping down and chasing the defeated intruder away, their anger finally quelled. Onyx and George were hailed as heroes by the grateful birds, who sang their praises in joyful melodies. Their wings fluttered in appreciation, expressing gratitude for the brave duo's intervention. Onyx felt a deep sense of pride and contentment, knowing that they had made a difference in the lives of the angry birds and protected their precious eggs. As the grateful birds settled down from their frenzied excitement, their chirps and tweets filled the air, expressing their heartfelt gratitude to Onyx and George. They fluttered around the duo, their colorful feathers shimmering with appreciation. One brave bird with vibrant plumage approached Onyx, chirping softly. "Thank you, Onyx," the bird sang, her voice filled with warmth and gratitude. "Our eggs are our precious babies, just as you are to your own parents." Onyx listened attentively, his heart touched by the bird's words. The analogy between the bird's protective nature and the love and care his own parents had shown him resonated deeply within him. A wave of homesickness washed over him as memories of his family flooded his mind. "I miss my parents," Onyx admitted softly, a hint of longing in his voice. "I know they are proud of me for embarking on this adventure, but sometimes I wish I could be with them." The birds, sensing Onyx's melancholy, surrounded him with comforting chirps, forming a circle of support. The bird who had spoken earlier gently perched on a nearby branch, her eyes filled with empathy. "Dear Onyx," she sang soothingly, "your parents love you unconditionally, no matter where you are. They understand your desire to explore and learn. Just as we guard our eggs, your parents will always be there, watching over you and eagerly awaiting your return." Onyx felt a mix of emotion, gratitude for the kind words and solace from the birds, but also a renewed sense of longing for home. He knew that he had embarked on this adventure to discover new places and make friends, but the reminder of his parents' love tugged at his heartstrings. George, ever the perceptive companion, approached Onyx and nestled beside him. "Onyx," he said softly, "it's only natural to miss your family. Remember, our journey has taught us that love knows no distance. Your parents' love transcends the miles that separate you. They will always hold you in their hearts, just as you hold them in yours." Onyx's eyes brightened with understanding, a smile playing at the corners of his mouth. He knew that George was right. Even though he couldn't be with his family physically, their love bound them together, no matter the distance. With a renewed sense of purpose and a strengthened resolve, Onyx looked out at the horizon, feeling a deep sense of gratitude for the journey he was on, the friends he had made, and the unwavering love of his family. The birds continued to sing their songs of appreciation, filling the air with their melodious gratitude. As they continued their journey, Onyx and George knew that their bond grew stronger with each challenge they overcame. Together, Onyx and George pressed forward, their hearts filled with determination and an unyielding spirit. They knew that more adventures awaited them, and they embraced the unknown with open minds and unwavering optimism. With each step, they grew more resilient, knowing that their bravery, wisdom, and unwavering friendship would guide them through any obstacle they encountered. And so, the spirited journey of Onyx and George continued, with each new chapter bringing forth more opportunities to learn, to grow, and to make a positive impact on the lives of those they encountered along the way. Onyx and George continued their journey through the enchanting island of Hawaii, their paws leaving imprints in the soft sand as they explored its hidden treasures. As they strolled along the shoreline, the rhythmic sound of music and laughter floated in the air, drawing their attention to a lively gathering ahead. Curiosity piqued, they approached a vibrant group of traditional Hawaiian dancers who were adorned in colorful attire, adorned with beautiful flaules. The dancers moved gracefully, their hips swaying in harmony with the beat of the traditional drums and ukuleles that filled the air with infectious melodies. Mesmerized by the sights and sounds, Onyx and George stood at the edge of the gathering, watching the dancers as they gracefully practiced their moves. The energy and joy exuding from the dancers were infectious, and Onyx couldn't help but wag his tail in rhythm with the music. A kind-hearted dancer named Kiana noticed the two curious friends and approached them with a warm smile. "Aloha," she greeted them, her voice carrying the spirit of the islands. "Would you like to join us in our traditional Hawaiian dance?" Onyx's eyes sparkled with excitement, and George's ears perked up in anticipation. They nodded eagerly, thrilled at the opportunity to learn about Hawaiian culture firsthand. Kiana guided Onyx and George to the center of the gathering, where the dancers formed a circle. She explained that the dance they were about to learn was called the hula, a dance form that expressed the stories, legends, and natural beauty of the Hawaiian Islands. With gentle patience, Kiana taught Onyx and George the basic steps of the hula. They learned how to sway their bodies in sync with the music, their paws moving gracefully as they imitated the motions of the dancers around them. As the gentle ocean breeze rustled through the palm trees, Kiana sat down beside Onyx, her eyes shining with a mixture of nostalgia and love for her Hawaiian heritage. Onyx looked at her with curious eyes, eager to hear more about her family traditions. "Onyx, my dear friend," Kiana began, "my family has lived on these beautiful islands for generations. Our connection to the land runs deep, and it is through our traditions that we find our true purpose in life." She spoke fondly of her grandfather, a wise man with a deep love for music and dance. Kiana reminisced about the countless hours they spent together, her grandfather teaching her the ancient songs and dances that had been passed down through their family. His gentle voice and graceful movements captured the essence of the Hawaiian spirit, Kiana shared, her voice filled with reverence. "Through his teachings, I discovered my own passion for singing and dancing, and I realized that my purpose in life was to share joy and happiness with others." She continued her tale, recounting the joyous celebrations where her family and friends would gather, their voices harmonizing with the sounds of nature, and their bodies moving in perfect synchrony. Kiana spoke of the deep connection she felt to her ancestors, as if their spirits danced alongside her every time she performed. "As I embraced my calling as a performer, I discovered that my art had the power to touch hearts, to heal souls, and to bring people together," Kiana said, her eyes shining with conviction. "Through music and dance, I strive to honor my roots, to share the stories of our land, and to spread the spirit of aloha far and wide." She looked at Onyx, a smile gracing her lips. "Onyx, my young friend, remember that true happiness lies in finding your purpose and sharing your gifts with the world. Just as I found mine through music and dance, you too will discover your own unique path. Embrace your passions, let them guide you, and you will bring joy to those around you." Onyx listened attentively, feeling inspired by Kiana's words. He understood that each of us carries within us a special talent or passion that, when shared, has the power to make a difference in the lives of others. As the sun began to set, casting a golden glow over the gathering, the dancers and their newfound friends entered a state of pure joy and celebration. Onyx and George felt an overwhelming sense of belonging and connection as they danced alongside the talented performers. The air filled with laughter, the scent of tropical flowers, and the spirit of aloha. The gathering transformed into a vibrant luau, where delicious traditional Hawaiian dishes were shared and stories of the islands were exchanged. Onyx and George felt a deep appreciation for the rich traditions and warm hospitality of the Hawaiian people. They marveled at the way the dance connected them to the history and spirit of the land, and they understood that through dance, they were honoring the culture and preserving its legacy. As the night drew to a close, the dancers bid farewell to Onyx and George, their hearts filled with gratitude for the special bond they had formed. Kiana gifted them each a flaule as a symbol of their time together and a reminder of the Hawaiian spirit that now lived within them. Onyx and George departed from the gathering, their spirits uplifted and their paws dancing with newfound confidence. They knew that their journey had become even more extraordinary, for they had not only discovered the beauty of Hawaii's natural wonders but had also been embraced by the warmth and richness of its cultural traditions. With the rhythm of the hula still echoing in their hearts, Onyx and George continued their adventure, carrying the spirit of aloha wherever they roamed, knowing that they were forever connected to the land and its people. And as they journeyed forward, they cherished the memories of their Hawaiian dance, forever grateful for the gift of love and culture they had received. As Onyx and George strolled down the vibrant streets of Hawaii, their eyes caught a glimpse of a flurry of feathers and vibrant colors. They approached a group of elegant flamingos, who seemed to be in the middle of preparing for a grand event. Curiosity piqued, Onyx and George approached the flamboyant birds and asked, "Excuse us, but what is all the excitement about?" The flamingos turned towards them with graceful smiles, their feathers shimmering in the sun. One of them, named Aurora, spoke up, "Aloha, my friends. We're getting ready for the annual surfing competition here in Hawaii. It's a thrilling event where surfers from all around showcase their skills and ride the majestic waves." Onyx's ears perked up with excitement, and George's eyes sparkled with anticipation. They exchanged glances, their hearts brimming with an adventurous spirit. "Could we learn to surf too?" Onyx asked, unable to contain his enthusiasm. Aurora's beak curved into a playful grin. "Absolutely. But for the best surfing lessons, we'll introduce you to our friends, the dolphins. They are the true masters of the waves and can guide you through the art of surfing." With that, Aurora led Onyx and George to the shoreline, where a group of dolphins playfully leaped out of the water, their clicks and whistles filling the air. Among them was Kailani, a wise and gentle dolphin known for his love of sharing the ocean's wisdom with newcomers. Kailani, the friendly dolphin, had a sleek and streamlined body, perfectly designed for gliding through the water. His skin glistened with a vibrant shade of blue-gray, reflecting the sunlight like a sparkling gem. His eyes were large and bright, exuding a sense of wisdom and playfulness. A playful smile adorned his face, showcasing his gentle and friendly nature. Kailani's graceful movements in the water were accompanied by a majestic dorsal fin that sliced through the waves, leaving a trail of elegance in his wake. Kailani approached Onyx and George with a warm smile. "Aloha, little ones. I hear you're interested in learning how to surf. Surfing is more than just riding the waves. It's about connecting with the ocean and its ever-changing rhythms." Under Kailani's guidance, Onyx and George waded into the water, feeling the gentle currents envelop them. Kailani patiently taught them how to position themselves on the surfboards, how to paddle and catch waves, and how to gracefully ride the swells. He emphasized the importance of balance, focus, and respect for the ocean. As the day went by, Onyx and George's bond with the dolphins deepened. They spent hours gliding through the water, learning from the dolphins' playful acrobatics and their deep understanding of the waves. Onyx and George discovered the joy of being in sync with the ocean, riding waves with newfound confidence. They laughed and shared stories with their new dolphin friends, forming a community that celebrated the beauty of the sea. Onyx marveled at the dolphins' agility and their ability to communicate through clicks and whistles. He felt a deep connection with the ocean and a sense of belonging. Through their surfing journey with the dolphins, Onyx and George realized that the ocean held a wisdom that could only be experienced, not taught. They understood that each wave was unique, like a moment in life, and that embracing the present was the key to riding the waves with grace. Kailani surfaced beside them, his eyes reflecting the colors of the setting sun. "Remember, my friends," he said, his voice resonating with wisdom. "Surfing is more than a sport. It's a dance with the ocean. Allow the waves to guide you, and always cherish the beauty of the journey." After a full day of training with the dolphins, Onyx's excitement soared to new heights. He couldn't resist the thrill of the upcoming surfing competition. His little tail wagged with enthusiasm as he shared the news with George. "George, I've made up my mind. I want to compete in the surfing competition," Onyx exclaimed, his eyes sparkling with determination. George looked at Onyx with a mix of concern and pride. "Onyx, you've only just learned how to surf. Are you sure you're ready for a competition?" he asked, voicing his reservations. Onyx's adventurous spirit burned bright. "I know I'm new to this, George, but I want to challenge myself. I want to feel the rush of riding the waves, to test my skills, and to see how far I've come. Plus, it'll be so much fun." George nodded, understanding the fire that burned within Onyx. "All right, Onyx. If that's what your heart desires, I'll be right there cheering you on, my friend." The day of the competition arrived, and the beach was abuzz with excitement. Surfers from all around had gathered to showcase their skills. Onyx watched the waves crashing against the shore, a mixture of nervousness and anticipation coursing through his veins. As Onyx approached the starting line, he saw the friendly faces of Aurora, Kailani, and the dolphins, who had become their mentors and friends. Their supportive presence gave him an extra boost of confidence. The first wave approached, and Onyx battled with determination. He felt the rush of adrenaline as he caught the wave, standing tall on his surfboard. His balance and agility surprised even himself as he effortlessly maneuvered through the twists and turns of the wave. The crowd erupted into applause as Onyx rode the wave with grace and joy. He couldn't wipe the wide grin off his face. His adventurous spirit had led him to this moment, and he was loving every second of it. Though the competition was fierce, Onyx continued to surf with enthusiasm and determination. Each wave he caught became a testament to his growth and the unbreakable bond between him and the ocean. As the final horn blew, signaling the end of the competition, Onyx emerged from the water, his heart pounding with exhilaration. He may not have won the competition, but the experience had filled him with a sense of accomplishment and fulfillment that no trophy could ever provide. George wrapped his paws around Onyx, a beaming smile on his face. "Onyx, I am so proud of you. You took a leap of faith and surfed with all your heart. You truly embodied the spirit of adventure." Onyx wagged his tail happily, feeling the warmth of George's words. "Thank you, George. This experience taught me that it's not always about winning. It's about the joy of embracing new challenges, pushing ourselves beyond our limits, and finding the courage to follow our passions." And as they walked off the beach, side by side, Onyx and George carried with them the memories of their surfing adventure, a reminder of the indomitable spirit that resided within them both. They knew that, no matter what lay ahead, their bond and their love for adventure would guide them through every wave of life. As Onyx and George continued exploring Hawaiian Islands, they couldn't help but notice the awe-inspiring presence of volcanoes. These towering giants stood tall, with their peaks often hidden beneath a blanket of clouds. The locals had always respected and revered these volcanoes, understanding their power and significance in shaping the land. One day, while wandering through a dense forest, Onyx and George found themselves in unfamiliar territory. As they emerged from the trees, their eyes widened in astonishment. Before them stood a massive volcano, its fiery glow visible even in the daylight. "What is it, George?" Onyx asked in astonishment. "It's a volcano, Onyx," George explained. "Imagine a volcano as a big mountain that sometimes becomes very active. Inside this mountain, there is a special place called a magma chamber where hot, melted rock called magma is stored. When the pressure inside the mountain becomes too strong, The magma tries to escape. So, what happens next? Well, the magma pushes its way up to the top of the volcano through a pipe called a vent. When the magma reaches the surface, it explodes out of the volcano in a powerful eruption. This explosion sends out hot rocks, ash, and gases high up into the sky. Sometimes, the lava flows down the sides of the volcano like a river of fire. As it cools, it hardens and creates new land. Over time, these eruptions and lava flows can shape the landscape and create beautiful mountains and islands. As Onyx and George walked near the volcano, they suddenly heard a loud rumble. Onyx looked at George, his eyes filled with worry. The ground shook, and they saw smoke and fire coming from the volcano. It was really scary because it meant the volcano could explode at any moment. But just when they were feeling terrified, they heard big steps behind them. It was an elephant named Jumbo. Jumbo was a magnificent creature with a tall stature and gentle eyes that sparkled with wisdom. His wrinkled gray skin told stories of a life filled with adventure and wisdom. Jumbo acted quickly, using his strong trunk to grab Onyx and George and place them gently on his back. They held on tight as Jumbo began to run, making sure they were far away from the dangerous volcano. With each heavy step, Jumbo carried them swiftly through the rocky terrain. Onyx and George could feel the wind rushing past their fur as they held on to Jumbo's sturdy back. They felt safe and protected, knowing that Jumbo would keep them out of harm's way. Jumbo's enormous size and strength allowed them to move quickly, and they soon reached a safe distance from the volcano. They looked back and saw the volcano erupting, spewing out fiery lava and billowing smoke. It was a sight that both amazed and frightened them. As they were finally safe, Jumbo shared with Onyx and George an interesting legend. Long ago, in the mystical land of Hawaii, there was a legend that spoke of a powerful volcano named Pele. Pele was not just an ordinary volcano but a goddess, the deity of fire, lightning, wind, and volcanoes. She was known for her fiery temperament and fierce power. According to the legend, Pele was a wandering goddess who traveled across the Hawaiian Islands in search of a permanent home. As she journeyed, she left a trail of volcanic eruptions and fiery displays behind her. The people of Hawaii revered her as both a creator and a destroyer. It is said that Pele's spirit resided within the Kilauea volcano, her sacred dwelling place. The locals believed that her fiery energy brought both blessings and challenges to the land. The volcanic eruptions were seen as her fierce battles, spewing lava and molten rocks, shaping the landscape and creating new land. The legend told of Pele's passionate and tempestuous nature, comparing her fiery spirit to the intensity of her volcanic eruptions. She was often depicted as a beautiful and powerful goddess with flowing red hair, symbolizing the molten lava that flowed from the volcano. The legend also spoke of the sacred relationship between Pele and the Hawaiian people. They believed that she tested their strength and determination, offering them opportunities for growth and renewal. They offered prayers and performed rituals to honor and appease Pele, seeking her protection and blessings. To this day, the legend of Pele continues to be passed down through generations, reminding the people of Hawaii of the raw power and beauty of nature. It serves as a reminder to respect and coexist with the forces of the earth, knowing that they have the ability to both create and destroy. The legend of Pele and her volcano is a testament to the deep spiritual connection between the Hawaiian people and the land they inhabit. It teaches the importance of harmony and balance, recognizing that even the most powerful forces can be both destructive and transformative. Onyx and George were in awe of Jumbo's presence and the stories he shared. Jumbo explained to Onyx and George that the volcano, while powerful and unpredictable, had its own rhythm and patterns. He shared stories of how the Hawaiian people lived harmoniously with the volcanoes, respecting their might and using their fertile lands for agriculture. With Jumbo's guidance, Onyx and George learned about the importance of listening to nature's cues and being aware of the signs of potential danger. They discovered that there were designated safe zones and paths to follow when near volcanoes. With newfound knowledge and a sense of respect for the volcanic forces, Onyx and George felt a renewed sense of adventure. They admired the volcano from a safe distance, marveling at its raw beauty and the incredible forces of nature at play. The encounter with the volcano taught them to approach unfamiliar and potentially dangerous situations with caution and respect. They understood the importance of seeking guidance from those who possessed knowledge and experience. As they bid farewell to the volcano and continued their journey, Onyx and George carried the wisdom and awe-inspiring memories of the volcano with them. They were now even more attuned to the powerful forces of nature that surrounded them, and they embraced the beauty and harmony of the Hawaiian Islands with a newfound appreciation. As Onyx and George continued their journey, they stumbled upon a magnificent sight. A majestic eagle soaring through the sky. His wings spread wide, catching the wind effortlessly. Onyx and George watched in awe as the eagle gracefully glided through the air. Intrigued by the eagle's incredible ability to fly, Onyx approached cautiously. "Hello there," Onyx called out. "My name is Onyx, and this is my friend George. We couldn't help but notice how amazing you are at flying." The eagle, whose name was Sam, gracefully landed on a nearby tree branch. With a gleam in his eyes, he greeted them warmly. "Greetings, Onyx and George. I'm Sam, the eagle. Flying is my passion, and I'm always thrilled to meet fellow adventurers like yourselves." Onyx couldn't contain his excitement. "Sam, can you teach me how to fly like you? It would be incredible to soar through the sky." Sam's wings rustled with excitement as he considered Onyx's request. "Onyx, my young friend, I can't teach you to fly like an eagle, but I can teach you something equally thrilling: paragliding." Onyx's eyes widened with curiosity. He had never heard of paragliding before, and he eagerly asked, "What's paragliding, Sam?" With a gentle smile, Sam explained, "Paragliding is a sport where you glide through the air with a special parachute-like wing called a paraglider. It's a thrilling way to experience the freedom of flight without wings." Onyx was both thrilled and a little nervous. "That sounds amazing, Sam. But how do I learn to paraglide?" Sam reassured him, "Don't worry, Onyx. I'll be your guide and instructor. We'll start with some ground training to get familiar with the equipment and the basic techniques. Then, when you're ready, we'll take to the skies together." Over the next few days, Sam patiently taught Onyx the art of paragliding. They practiced inflating the paraglider, understanding the wind, and controlling the flight. Onyx's determination and willingness to learn impressed Sam, and their bond grew stronger with each lesson. Finally, the day arrived when Onyx felt ready to take his first flight. With Sam by his side, they found a beautiful hilltop with a gentle breeze. Onyx put on the paraglider, secured himself to the harness, and took a deep breath. As the wind caught the paraglider, Onyx felt a surge of excitement. He ran forward, his paws lifting off the ground, and before he knew it, he was soaring through the sky, carried by the wings of the paraglider. The sensation of flying was unlike anything Onyx had ever experienced. He marveled at the breathtaking view beneath him, the world stretching out in all its beauty. The wind whispered in his ears as he glided through the air, feeling a sense of freedom he had never known before. Sam flew alongside him, guiding Onyx and ensuring his safety. Together, they danced through the sky, reveling in the joy of flight. George, while standing on the ground, had mixed feelings as he watched Onyx soar through the sky. He felt a surge of nervousness, fearing for his friend's safety, but also a deep admiration for Onyx's courage and determination. George knew that Onyx's adventurous spirit was something to be cherished and celebrated, and he couldn't help but feel a sense of pride knowing his friend was fearlessly embracing new experiences. Onyx couldn't help but feel grateful to Sam for introducing him to this exhilarating adventure. As the sun began to set, Signaling the end of their flight, Onyx gently landed on the ground. He was filled with a sense of accomplishment and gratitude for the incredible experience. He thanked Sam profusely for being his mentor and guide. Sam beamed with pride. "Onyx, you were a natural. Your eagerness to learn and your fearlessness in the sky make you a remarkable adventurer." Onyx and George had heard rumors of a thrilling roller coaster park in the heart of Hawaii. Their curiosity piqued. They set off to discover this exhilarating place. As they approached the entrance, their eyes widened with excitement at the sight of towering roller coasters that twisted and turned against the blue sky. They eagerly made their way through the park, their hearts pounding in anticipation. The sound of laughter and screams filled the air as people of all ages enjoyed the adrenaline rush of the rides. Onyx and George couldn't wait to join in the fun. Their first stop was the Twisty Tornado, a roller coaster that spun riders around in wild loops. Onyx, with his adventurous spirit, convinced George to give it a try. As they strapped themselves into the seats, Onyx's tail wagged with anticipation while George's paws gripped the safety bar tightly. The roller coaster took off, hurling them through twists and turns, making their fur fly in all directions. Onyx couldn't help but let out a series of excited barks, while George's eyes widened with a mix of exhilaration and terror. With every loop, they were tossed and turned like a pair of socks in a washing machine. After surviving the Twisty Tornado, Onyx and George decided to challenge the Giant Drop, a towering ride that sent riders plummeting from unimaginable heights. As they were hoisted up, Onyx's ears flapped in the wind and George's fur stood on end. With a sudden drop, their stomachs seemed to float somewhere up near their heads. Onyx's face contorted in a mixture of excitement and sheer terror, while George couldn't help but let out a squeal that sounded more like a yelp. They clung to each other, their paws tightly gripping as they descended back to the ground. The duo's adventures continued as they hopped from one roller coaster to another. From the crazy corkscrew to the loop-de-loop, each ride brought laughter and screams that echoed through the park. Onyx and George challenged their fears and embraced the wild and exhilarating experience with infectious enthusiasm. Their last ride of the day was the Laughing Thunder, a roller coaster known for its unexpected surprises and funny twists. Onyx and George climbed aboard, ready for a final dose of amusement. Little did they know, the ride had a surprise in store. As the roller coaster twisted and turned, it unexpectedly sprayed riders with bursts of water. Onyx and George found themselves soaked from head to paw, their fur dripping with amusement park memories. They couldn't help but burst into laughter, their wet fur sticking up in all directions as they zoomed through the final stretch. As they disembarked the roller coaster, Onyx and George exchanged high fives, their faces beaming with pure joy. They had conquered every ride, faced their fears, and shared laughter that would be etched into their memories forever. Walking away from the roller coaster park, Onyx turned to George and said, "George, life is like a roller coaster full of ups and downs, twists and turns. But as long as we face it with laughter and a sense of adventure, we can make every ride a memorable one." George nodded, a wide smile spreading across his face. They may have left the roller coaster park, but the spirit of fun and excitement lingered within them. With their hearts still racing and their laughter echoing through the air, they knew that their journey together would always be filled with thrilling adventures and unforgettable moments. As Onyx and George ventured into the twilight, they carried with them the joy, laughter, and courage that had defined their day at the amusement park. They knew that life, just like a roller coaster, is full of twists, turns, and unexpected surprises. They learned that embracing new experiences, even if they seem scary at first, can lead to incredible moments of exhilaration and growth. In the midst of their laughter-filled escapades, Onyx and George realized that sometimes it's the unplanned detours and spontaneous adventures that leave the most lasting memories. They understood that the true beauty of life lies not only in the destination but also in the journey itself, with all its ups and downs. Their roller coaster rendezvous taught them the importance of embracing fear with courage, finding humor in the unexpected, and cherishing the bonds of friendship that make every experience even more special. Onyx and George carried these lessons in their hearts as they continued their remarkable journey, ready to face the next thrilling ride that awaited them around the bend. And so, as the sun set on their unforgettable day, they whispered to one another, "Life is like a roller coaster, my friend. Embrace the twists, hold on to each other through the turns, and let laughter be the soundtrack of your journey." With renewed determination, they set off, their spirits soaring high, ready to face whatever exciting adventures awaited them on the path ahead. As the sun began to set on their final day in Hawaii, Onyx and George felt a mix of emotions. They were sad to leave behind the lush landscapes, the gentle ocean waves, and the friends they had made. But deep down, they knew it was time to return home to Florida. Onyx gazed out at the ocean, a hint of nostalgia in his eyes. "George, do you remember that time we met Tilly, the wise sea turtle? She taught us how to swim, and we explored the colorful coral reefs together." Onyx reminisced with a smile. George wagged his tail, a playful glint in his eyes. "And what about the time we rode the waves with Kailani, the joyful dolphin? We surfed and laughed, feeling the thrill of the ocean beneath us," George added, his voice filled with excitement. Onyx's ears perked up as he remembered another fun memory. "And let's not forget the paragliding adventure with Sam, the friendly eagle. Soaring through the sky, feeling the wind in our ferret was incredible," Onyx exclaimed, his voice tinged with exhilaration. As the evening settled, Onyx and George bid farewell to their newfound friends, promising to cherish the memories forever. They boarded a magnificent cruise ship that would carry them back to Florida. Onyx peered over the railing, watching as the beautiful Hawaiian Islands disappeared into the distance. While a part of him felt a twinge of sadness, he also felt a bubbling excitement deep within. He was eager to reunite with his loving family, who had missed him dearly. Days passed on board the cruise ship, filled with laughter, delicious treats, and new friendships. Onyx and George made sure to explore every nook and cranny of the ship, creating new memories together. Finally, the day arrived when the ship docked in Florida. Onyx's heart skipped a beat as he caught sight of his family waiting eagerly at the pier. His tail wagged furiously. "Mom! Dad!" Onyx cried out, unable to contain his excitement. He leaped from the ship, landing in his family's loving arms. The joyful reunion brought tears to everyone's eyes as they showered Onyx and George with hugs and kisses. As they drove back home, Onyx sat in the back seat, his heart brimming with happiness. He realized that while their adventures in Hawaii had been incredible, there was no place like home, surrounded by the love of his family. With a contented sigh, Onyx looked at George and whispered, "No matter where we go or what we do, George, our family will always be there for us. They are our true home, and the memories we made in Hawaii will forever be a part of us." George nodded in agreement, his tail wagging in affirmation. "You're right, Onyx. Our adventures have shown us the beauty of the world, but the love of our family is the greatest treasure we could ever have." And so, as the sun set on their remarkable journey, Onyx and George learned that home was not just a place but a feeling of belonging and love. They realized that true happiness lay not only in the thrill of new experiences but also in the comfort of familiar faces and cherished bonds. With hearts filled with gratitude and a renewed sense of appreciation, Onyx and George understood that life's greatest adventures were not found solely in distant lands, but within the love, support, and joy shared with their loved ones. And so, their story continued, with each chapter filled with love, laughter, and the magic of the extraordinary journey called life.